Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. I am still all tingly from video number one, where Matt very likely will do a bad deal, not an alligator, but a bad deal for him because he is in a position to help some people. It feels good to be able to do that. But here we are going to talk about the lumberjack, your family, shopping in Las Vegas for a second home. I know you saw Brian Lebo's video the other day.
Yeah.
And dude, did you see 400% of listings being pulled? Can you talk about wish pricing and want to sell versus need to sell? Freaking Vegas is going bananas, man. What is going on?
So I think that's where all the crash guys are watching.
Yeah, exactly. The whole country must crash because Vegas is crashing.
Right. And one of the things, and people are like, oh, you're changing your tune. I was like, I'm not changing my tune at all. It's exactly what I've been saying since day one.
Yeah.
There's going to be some that are going to be losers. There's going to be some that are going to be winners. And you'd have no idea the pace by which this is going to happen.
Dude, you can watch a video on my channel 2 years ago where I said Vegas would crash first. So
it always does.
That's why Brian Lebo is on my channel, because I expect Vegas to crash first. It's hilarious.
It is absolutely in the top 5 for 3 things. They crash the soonest, they recover the fastest, and they have the deepest cuts.
Exactly.
And the greatest appreciation. They are the extremes all over the board.
Hot,
absolutely all over the place. And so being a home buyer.
Yeah, you're a shopper. You are buying for yourself.
I am buying for me with no consideration for appreciation or income.
It's going to be where you go when your home is cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Siberia, as Dion likes to say, and I don't enjoy it. It's not fun. It's like, it's fun to have like snow on Christmas, and then I don't want to be here anymore.
It's like, let's go to Vegas.
Yeah, it's too cold, man. When you literally walk out the door and your pants turn into sheets of ice, it's a hard pass. It gets so cold. I want you guys to be here like mid-January, and you guys really get the sense of what cold is.
No thanks. Dude, cold. Dude, I don't have this is sad, but very true. I live, obviously, I live in the Bay Area. Yeah. It gets below 65. I'm freezing.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because I have a couple of friends from the UK and they come over and they visit. And I was sitting outside in shorts and a t-shirt, and they were long pants, and they were like, dude, can we get him jackets? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I digress. But yeah, it's, I think what we're looking at in Vegas, and obviously I have the realtor to the stars, the broker to the stars, and Brian Lebo, broker to the stars, and me.
Yeah. And me. Yeah.
But love the guy because he's data based. Everything is data. And so in the conversations that we're having, it was really funny. I was kind of putting together all the numbers for my video, and then his video popped, and I was like, oh no. That's fine, whatever. So put that video together based on just the things that I was looking at, which was, their 4 worst months for sales, 3 out of the 4 were January.
Yeah, can you imagine?
That's a lot like our market here. In January, houses don't sell.
Got it.
So everyone's like, okay, it's really funny. Every year, all the agents go, is it going to come back in February? Like, everyone's like having a nightmare, and that's over the last 10 years. The 3 worst months were all in January. And then the only other month that was that horrific was the very first month when stuff started getting shut down from the pandemic.
Yeah, March or April of
2020. So obviously that's an exception. That could it happen again? Sure, but what's the likelihood, and how bad will that be, etc. So in watching that, I'm just kind of like, okay, but I had started watching every single week. I started looking at that market and watching that market the first week of May.
Okay.
First week of May, they had about 2,200 listings in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And at the middle of August, they were over 8,000.
Oh, wow.
It was over 8,000. And I was like, holy cow, we could go 400% if we get to 8,800. That's 400% more listings inventory.
Yeah. Now, what about your buy box, right? Because again, folks, he's shopping for a second home. He's well to do. You're kind of 750 to 1.2.
So I actually had a broader spectrum because
Okay.
I believe that there's going to be a lot of pressure in that $2 million mark.
Oh, okay.
So I actually have a 750 to $2 million in
Oh.
2 cities or 2 towns.
2 towns or zip codes
Yes.
or whatever.
Yep.
So do you remember what that inventory was, May, when you started?
It was not much. It was
Hundreds?
oh no, not hundreds. It was dozens. It
Dozens.
was dozens and dozens. Yeah.
And now what are we at?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Now we're at hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's followed. I think that it's really kind of followed generally the numbers in that market. It's probably 4x ish, 5x ish.
Yeah. The one thing, again, I'm lucky enough. I have Brian Lebo coming on tomorrow at 11 a.m.,
awesome.
which is going to be awesome. One thing we're going to talk about is he is extremely negative about the Vegas market, right?
Yes, he is.
He is talking about race to the bottom.
Yes, he is.
And lots of those things. Just because I can, I'm going to take the other side of that.
Yeah.
Because of some of the things that he said.
Yes.
First off, he said absorption is stabilized.
Yep.
Right. He said that. Second, he talked about a 400% increase in what I would call cancellations, listing cancellations.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting to me.
Mike,
because
they're typically between 250 and 300.
Yeah.
In a month.
Yeah.
August was 1,400.
Exactly. And as you know, I said this was coming.
100%.
I said July 20th, we're going to get all these FOMO listings, and it will be wild to see how many turn into cancellations. We are seeing that right now.
Yeah.
I believe in Vegas, we could have another month. And it's really wild because this is what I'm going to tell Brian tomorrow. I think inventory in Vegas goes down.
So do I.
But he's saying like the inventory is going to keep sky because he's talking about race to the bottom more.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. You got rates going to 7%.
Mike, do you know how many people reached out to me on the channel on my video that I posted yesterday, which thanks to everyone got 2,400 views in not even 24 hours.
Wow.
That was nuts. But here's what's crazy about the kind of inside baseball on that is that the number of people that put in comments that said, I bought a home in 2020. I bought a home in 2021. I have a 2.99% rate.
I'm not going anywhere.
They're like, we thought about putting our house on the market, and based on what we're seeing, we're not going to do it. And I said, why?
Exactly.
And they said, because my replacement cost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Payment. My replacement payment. This is what I think the agents are missing there is that they think bad. It just gets worse. This is the desperation of certain sellers.
And that list is going to get smaller and smaller.
100%. 100%.
So I think, and again, I'm an open book. I'll tell Brian this tomorrow. I said, Brian, I think you're wrong, right? You're at 8,800. I know you've had 7 weeks of just record growing, but let's also be honest. Your inventory is not going up by as much as it did last time. It's up single digits.
Not even close. Yeah.
Brian, I think that's going to go down.
Yeah. Yep.
I think you're going to have less inventory. And oh, by the way, let's not get it twisted. He's going to have less sales next month and the month after. It's going to be Siberia for transactions.
It is.
But I think inventory in Vegas falls, and I think it shocks most people.
In August, they still closed about 1,700 deals.
Yep. 1666. Yeah.
Something like that. But think about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you still moved on average 50 houses plus a day.
Exactly.
Houses a day. Still sold.
Yeah,
55 houses a day. Still
that includes Saturday and Sunday.
It's true. It's true.
Right.
So when I look at it, I think that and the other thing too is that somebody was like, oh, it sounds like you're changing your tune. I was like, not changing my tune at all.
Not at all.
Exactly what we said was going to happen is
happening right now.
It was massive reduction because based on rates going so high.
Yep.
Massive reduction in transactions. Now starting to have pressure on pricing.
Yep.
But a number of people are going to yank their stuff off of the market.
We are going to see record supply. For 40 years, we have not had supply destruction.
Correct.
The last time we had record supply destruction was 81, 82. And guess what happened to transactions? They fell 50%.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's going to happen again. It could be
Well,
worse.
and that was the peak too. I think in the last couple of years, I want to say Vegas in a few months got as high as 3,400 transactions,
Mhm.
3,500 transactions. So it was from its peak, it's down, 45, 50%. It was pretty
Mhm.
close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And I think they go lower. But I
I don't
also
disagree.
think
I agree with you.
inventory goes lower. It's just, and again, I don't
Exactly.
feel good about saying this. It's just the weird collection of factors that the Fed broke the housing market, and it's going to take
100%.
years to repair.
Absolutely it is. And so as the one thing that I put out there for the single family home buyers, like I am in this situation, the one thing that I put out there is I said, don't confuse or conflate this with the situation that you have as a renter trying to buy a home. I already own a home. I already own multiple homes. This is another home for me that right now I have zero cost basis for. It doesn't hurt me at all. I'm not paying rent somewhere and having to wait. One of the things that was really interesting was in Vegas also, there are a number of stories where landlords came in and they took the rent from 17, 18, 1900 to 3,000, 3,200, and 3,500. Now tell me about how much protection you have from that and if you're going to end up having to move, because everybody needs to be looking at a 10-year spreadsheet saying over the next 10 years or even 5 years, if I don't buy now, what does that actually cost me? Because you have zero control over what your rent's going to do for the next 5 years. Your mortgage, you have an immense amount of control when you buy like a home buyer buys with 30-year fixed rate debt. And
Yeah.
that's the calculation a lot of these crash videos are leaving out is, well, but my rent isn't as much as a mortgage. It will be next year
Yeah. It's
or
coming.
higher.
Yeah.
It will be next year or higher.
Yeah, the housing market is just so broken. The transactions, certainly some markets will have price. That's the other thing I'm going to talk about with Brian. So he made a big deal about values being down. I think it was 49 grand over 3 months, 45 or 40.
The median home price is down. A median home price is down like around 8 or 9%
Yeah.
in
And
three
again,
months.
Brian thinks it's going lower and lower and lower.
Mhm.
Again, when I look into the winter months, which are slow in Vegas,
Yes,
I think they're going to be even slower this time.
I agree.
I think median home price just mathematically might shock people and go up.
It could. I think the thing that's going to bolster that is, Bank of America is one of the big lenders out there. Bank of America has that horrible
Zero down.
program that they're
Yeah.
coming out with.
Yeah.
And I think it's a horrible program only because we know what the default rates are. So
Yeah.
let me structure the narrative for 4 years from now.
Yeah.
You weren't duped into it. You weren't made to buy a home. You are going to see in that program likely a 3 to 4 to 500% higher default rate than any other lending program in the country.
Probably.
That is likely what you're going to see. And
Yeah.
no one was bamboozled. And this is what happens in the law of unintended consequences. Because with no credit score being factored in, with your down payment and closing costs being given to you, you are not financially.
Yeah, let's be clear. It's not being given. It's not required. Let's not get it twisted.
The which one?
Down payment and closing costs are in the loan. It's not given.
Right. Okay. So it's wrapped into the loan.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to show up at the table with.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the barrier of entry. The barrier of entry isn't paying more money for the house with it wrapped in. The barrier of entry is saving the money, showing financial discipline, having a decent credit score to be credit worthy to then get the house.
Yeah. The big concern about this program for me isn't this program. It's the
copycats.
Well, it's the copycats. Yeah.
Sure.
Because Bank of America, even to their heart's content, won't do enough loans to destroy the national housing market. They might do enough loans in Detroit, Michigan to destroy the housing market, but not the country.
Yep.
But the copycats can. And again, let's not get it twisted. Banks are in the business of lending. Yep. And right now with affordability at record lows, just like 2005, banks get creative.
Yep.
Last time they invented out of nowhere teaser loans, and they underwrote them at teaser rates. And that blew up the housing market because 50% of loan origination was subprime. It blew up 2 years later. It was completely predictable. Now, thankfully, teaser loans are not allowed. That doesn't mean they can't create some other exotic nonsense product that's technically allowed that won't destroy things. I actually did my live stream. I think you were on it over the weekend. I'm like, dude, this Bank of America, I think Dion asked me, I'm like, dude, this Bank of America thing takes hold and we get copycats. The low end of the market will explode higher because there's no freaking inventory. The affordability in my market will go from 31 to 21 overnight. I will be handed millions of dollars in equity. I will sell everything because when shit's unaffordable, I'll sell it and I'll wait.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll pay the taxes. Who cares? And I don't want that to happen, but I fear that's the dominoes that are falling, and it could be a problem next year.
It definitely could. I mean, this is the thing that, this is the thing that I was most concerned about with my call with, a 10 to 20% reduction in the next 12 to 20 months.
Exactly. This comes, you're done.
Yeah. If this comes on scale, there's no way it happens except for, I still believe that, yes, that will pump it up in a number of places, but I think the median home price is so wide, so big countrywide.
Yeah.
I think that they still have to income qualify.
God, I hope so.
And if they still have to, because remember, so Nina loans, no income, no assets.
Correct.
Ninja loans, no income, no assets, or no job, no assets. And people were like, Ninja loans didn't exist. Of course they did. You could state your income. You could state it. It wasn't verified.
No, I remember somebody I knew was a gardener for all intents and purposes. Suddenly became a landscape engineer. And added a zero to his income. Just a zero. 35 to 350. It's just a zero. No big deal. Oh, okay. And the loan got approved. Guess what? He lost the home.
Because it didn't get verified.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, no job. That's the no job part, which is they weren't doing income verification. And if you're not doing income verification, you can write whatever you want.
Yeah, it was
and
bad.
There were people that were out of work that did not have a job that still got loans.
Dude, I have tenants that I declined that got loans.
I know.
That is great. Let me be clear. I have a pretty tight tenant box, but let's just say if I decline someone, they're probably not qualified to buy a home. Just saying.
No. I mean, I'm seeing it now. We've got a few units up for rent, and we're seeing people with 620 credit scores, $50,000 a year of income, and they're applying for $2,400 a month apartments. I'm like, it's not, guys, it's not even close.
Yeah, this doesn't end well for you or me.
No. At the end of the day, there are still enough tenants out there. Plenty.
Oh, I think it gets worse / better depending on what side of the fence you're on. Yeah. I think with rising interest rates, and declining affordability, what happens? Well, more people need to rent. And oh, by the way, again, thanks to John Bird's Real Estate Consulting, single family rentals are declining. So let me get this right. Inventory is declining. Demand is increasing. What happens?
Yeah.
Rents go up.
Of course. We have a couple of buildings that are brand new buildings in our area in the last 2 years. They're pricing for a 1-bed, 1.5 bath apartment that's about 700 square feet. $29.25 a month, not including a parking spot. And here's the thing, Mike. Cost basis, they can't touch me.
Yeah.
Cost basis, my rent is going to be $1,600 when I rent it out. Yeah. Now, it's not in the big new shiny building, but you tell me $1,200 difference a month.
No,
I think they're going to be the ones in trouble.
Yeah, me too. Well, this is fun. So again, if from your experience, your buy box, again, pretty broad, 750 to 2 million. Inventory's up 400%. Have you sniffed anything that was even worth writing an offer on yet?
So there was one that was chasing its way downward. I'm just not going to catch the falling knife because I still think so. $1,050,000 a week later, 950 a week later, 9 a week later, or 2 weeks later in the 8s. The problem is that property was purchased in 2020 for 550. Like For me, because it costs me nothing. This is where it's different than a person buying a primary
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It costs me nothing to wait. I
Mm.
can wait until things start to plateau. I can wait until, until I've seen some air taken out of the balloon. I can wait.
You could wait for prices to come up. You could wait for them to bounce a little bit.
Exactly. So what I'm really looking for is true resistance.
Yeah.
True resistance.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing really, I'm seeing some resistance because I think people are taking wish pricing off.
Oh, that's clearly happening. 1,600 listings. Yeah, clearly.
There were some that people were commenting in the comments that they had seen houses that were bought in 2019 for 600K that sold for 2 million.
Jeez. Wow.
2 million.
I'd like to sit on that $1 million. Woo.
Exactly. And so from my perspective, and that 2 million, right? Let's say it's come off 150, and then you've got all these guys with crash channels talking about 30%, 25% price reduction. That I'll be that guy.
Yeah,
because
I'll take that haircut, no problem.
Yeah, in 3 years, I made 250% of my money.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking back at the comparables at 19, 18, 19.
Sure.
And then even if you just add the normal health of a market, 3, 4, 5%, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, I don't think some people are out there and like, well, the market's going up 40% in 2 years. It's going to cut 50% in the next 2. No, it's not going to do that. That's not math.
Yeah. I don't even, it'll be very interesting. My conversation with Brian tomorrow. I don't know that Vegas races to the bottom. I think he sees like 16K, 12K, 12. But again, that's what happened last time.
Right.
I do not think this is last time. I think he's mistaken.
If you have your house still on the market, you likely need to sell, don't want to sell.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But there's also a ton of equity in every one of those deals.
You would think, yeah.
I mean, even if you bought in 21.
Yeah, you have equity. Yeah.
You still have equity.
Yeah.
You still have equity. So that's going to be what I continue to watch. And again, I can do it because my cost basis for waiting is 0.
Yeah, you don't care if you buy now or a year from now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, do me a favor. Where can people find you? Because you put out amazing stuff every day.
Thank you, my friend. Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Instagram, as well as live stream Sundays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.